Welcome to Almost 30 Podcast.
Hi, everybody. It's Lindsay and Krista. We're best friends. We're so glad you're here. And this is a podcast we started when we were going through our transition from our 20s to our 30s. And here we are now, just hoping to support you in whatever transition you're in.
Mm-hmm. Here we are now, better than ever.
Better than I think so.
I was looking at pictures. I brought pictures to go see my dad in Florida, and pictures of me when I was younger. You would never know I was me at any time in my life.
Crazy.
Not only because of makeup and all the things I do, but you still would even when I was a baby, I didn't look like me when I was.
It's like you're a completely new person every 7 years.
Time. It's insane.
Yeah. That's so wild.
It was years I was born with really dark hair, then I had white hair, and then I had brown hair, then I had blonde. My hair was all different.
You were dyeing your hair that young.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yes, exactly. It was my mom put me in, and then I had Coke bottle glasses for a year, retainers for a year.
Cute.
I was thick. I was thin.
Wow,
different vibes.
What do you think? Besides the things that you glasses and things like that, but just the morphing, what do you think about that when you're a kid? Is it just growing or is it emotional too? Do you know what I mean?
I think mine was emotional. I was thinking about that. I was because I was kind of trying to track what was happening with this girl at this age.
Yeah.
What was happening with this girl at this age and what was, I was kind of trying to track that, but I don't even really know. But it was funny. Almost every photo I had, my tongue was out. I was always
typical
No,
Krista.
from every age, I was I was kind of worried. I'm do I have a sensory issue? I was a little concerned.
Mom's smile, and you're
honestly, I wasn't it was every picture I was this, and my sister was you have little personalities at that age.
Totally. And also at that age, you don't give a fuck about what you look like in pictures. So you're just mom's
oh yeah,
smile,
you want to
nice,
make it bad.
and you're
yeah, you want to make it bad.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
You want to be crazy.
You're
yeah, honestly.
Are we done?
Yeah. Little tip for anyone that wants to do inner child work or love, parts of themselves or aspects of themselves. It's good to have pictures as representatives of you at different ages.
Yeah.
And it can be really helpful to do inner work around looking at a photo, what comes up for you. Do you judge? Do you condemn? Do you critique? Are you hard on that person? How can you bring more softness and kindness and compassion and empathy to all aspects of you and all versions of you? Because I did have moments where I was judgmental. Yeah. Oh my God, the pictures from college, I was
oh, it's pain. I just feel the unconsciousness that was happening and probably needed to be happening because it was just kind of wickedy wild at times. But yeah, it made me sad and just how drunk I was.
I know, dude. I look like a puff.
Yeah.
Puff. And I have black eyeshadow and eyeliner and
I loved
white blonde hair.
Yeah.
I'm okay, Playboy bunny.
Totally. The inner rim.
Inner rim.
You do 15 swipes. You're
Dude,
is that enough?
Yes, honestly. I just was sis, you are crisp.
Yeah.
And blonde.
Going to Hollywood Tans every week.
Oh, yeah. We had the trashiest tanning bed in our college town that we would always go to.
And everyone went in the tanning bed.
Same. You'd always see people. It was you'd always see girls. I'd be I hate that girl. Yeah. You'd go in and just be.
But the feeling that you would get after being in the tanning bed, I just remember the feeling where I'm I'm ready.
Oh my God. I saw this reel. I think you liked it too. Is this girl. She's the trajectory of party girl to spiritual girl. And she's tanning bed was our meditation. Tanning bed was our mindfulness. Tanning bed was our moment to ourselves. Tanning bed was our self-care. And I'm that is so fucking true.
So true.
I used to
definitely wasn't meditating.
I used to regulate my nervous system in the tanning bed.
Totally.
Now I regulate my nervous system watching Tim Dillon.
Yeah.
But I'm I would just be in the tanning bed, actually having the deepest rest I've ever had. With my ass sweating on plastic.
Yeah. Oh my God, the sweat. And just the burn right after where you're ooh, yeah.
Oh, yes. I felt amazing. I was oh my gosh. I would go in and ask for new bulbs. Were you that crazy?
Oh, no, I wasn't.
So I'd go into Sunspot Tanning in Mason, Ohio, right next to La Rosa's where all my friends worked. It's all good.
Is that a pizza spot?
Yeah, pizza spot, La Rosa's. It's sweet pizza. It's weird.
Okay.
It's odd. It's Ohio. But And I'd be like, okay, can I have the extreme bed? And I'd go in the extreme bed.
Wow.
And then I'd say, do you have any new bulbs? Because they had to replace the bulbs. So I'd ask them if they had the highest level bed and if they had new bulbs. They'd be like, yeah, girl, I got new bulbs for you.
That's sick.
That's insane. Sick and twisted.
That is
sick and twisted.
Thank God your skin is like fine.
What? I know.
That's crazy.
Honestly, I was like, because I was in Mexico recently, and I'll talk about my Mexico trip. And I mean, I don't even know how to say this. Just like being in Los Angeles, I haven't ever recognized how skewed it's made me until recently for some reason. Maybe because I was in a relationship, maybe because I never left my house, maybe because I didn't want to, but now I'm recognizing how skewed LA is, looks and physical wise.
Yes.
Because I was in Mexico and everyone is a normal person.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, this is skin of someone that's this age. This is what someone's body looks like. This is what someone, because even New York and the major metropolitan cities when I'm traveling still have the skewed, but not as much as LA. But just being around normal people that look normal, that have normal bodies or normal faces was like.
Isn't it wild?
Wild.
I was watching Love is Blind, which I've never watched before.
I'm obsessed.
But now I'm watching.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole episode on this, but
I honestly want to make my new career reaction videos to Love is Blind.
Yeah, it's amazing. But just on this point, I was looking at all the girls. I'm like, whoa, everyone has work.
100%.
Everyone has work. And literally no shade because do whatever you want. But I'm thinking about how many people are watching this, how many women are watching this, and what they think beauty should look like or like what they think they should look like. It's just for some people like Botox and whatever is not accessible,
Totally.
And so it can create this like chasm between what you think is beauty and what you think you can achieve. It's just
totally.
It makes me sad.
I was watching so in the grief of my dad, what's going on? I'm witnessing myself numbing.
Yeah.
This is mindfulness,
Escaping
everybody.
a little bit.
Witnessing the numb. Being like, I'm choosing to numb. I'm choosing to escape. I'm choosing to whatever. So I watched Love is Blind, and then I just started Too Hot to Handle, and I just watched it. Shan's in it, our homie.
Oh, yeah, I haven't watched it.
I didn't like it. I just watched it, but it was really interesting because a lot of the women had work done, but I think the one that most men liked didn't.
Uh-huh.
And just recognizing that there was women on there that were like 22 that had a lot of work done, and obviously no shade, obviously, but it's just, it aged them so much.
Yeah.
And how it's aging people too. And so what I'm trying to say is if you're getting work done, get it good. Because everyone likes good work.
Yeah, man. But it is kind of wild. And I also felt the same when I left LA. I was like, okay. Like,
oh my God.
This is not normal everywhere.
It's not, I mean.
At all.
Dude.
I guess what's another example?
Of what?
Like in terms of like the body too. I feel like, LA I feel like has more aliens than other places.
Yeah. But you know what though? New York
too.
New York body type is more model thin.
I agree with that.
And LA is more curves.
Yes.
Not really, but like, more.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
More bodacious in LA, definitely. But New York is like model thin.
Yeah.
New York is like model look vibe is what people like. And LA, they're like more.
I saw a model
more thought.
Walk in. I was in a hotel lobby and it like from another planet.
Another planet.
It was like her waist was 20 inches around maybe. And just so long, like gorgeous.
Yeah,
but I was just like a specimen.
As a man, what would you even do with that?
She was meeting a man. It was an interesting duo. But I was like.
What do you do with all that length?
I agree. Wrap it around you?
Yeah, I'm like, wrap it. I know, but I'm like, you know what I've realized too is there's a level of hotness that's too much. Where you're like, even with a man, I'd be like, you're annoying me.
Oh yeah, I can't be with a really, really, really. I can't
level.
be with someone who knows they're really, really hot. I like a confidence, but there's something, and that was what I found in LA a lot.
Yeah,
LA guys were looking at themselves in the mirror more than they were looking at me.
Yes.
I was like,
I also think there's something about when they dress really well that it sucks because the guys that dress like at TJ Maxx polo shirts and Patagonias usually treat women better than the ones that like dress super swaggy and cool. Sucks. Because I love a swag.
Sucks, I know.
I love like a perspective on your outfit.
I agree with that.
It's really nice to have.
Yeah, I love a Patagonia vest.
I know, honestly. I love
You're
it.
like, hey man, let me hide that so you never wear it again. All right, well, this went every which way.
I know, honestly.
Speaking of witches,
we have Mia Magik on. This is her second time on the show. She came on before. I think it was, I don't even know, maybe a year or so ago. She had the hat on during that time. Today was a no hat moment. And guys, the hat brings more clicks.
yeah, so we're like,
Which is fascinating.
girl.
I mean, everyone needs brand. But the book is IntuWitchin, and it's Mia's new book. I have it. It's funny. I don't know if this is a thing I should say or not, but I keep it in my car. So sometimes if I'm in traffic, I'll just kind of open up to a page.
I like that. Well, if you're completely stopped and in park.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Okay, cool.
Yeah. As like, I don't know. I'll just kind of like cruise because I don't want to look at my phone. So I'll just kind of like
read a book.
Yeah, read my book fully. I just need my little book. So yeah, the book is called IntuWitchin, and it's her new book out now. It's about speaking the language of the universe and reclaiming your inner magic. And what I really love about IntuWitchin is that in the book is that it has a lot of different aspects of spirituality that I think we talk about. So there's astrology in there. She talks about connecting to your intuition. She talks about your moon and using your period as like a way to connect with yourself, to connect with the earth. She talks a lot about nature and her connection to nature, her connection to the earth, which I really, really love. But in our conversation, we talked a lot about like the feminine. We talked about connecting into your femininity. We talked about connecting to your intuition. We kind of went all over the place just because we're cool and we have a vibe. So it was a really, really fun conversation. And I think for anyone that wants to feel more spiritually in tune, that wants to feel more like themselves, that wants to feel more empowered, and then wants to connect with the unseen, I think this is going to be such a good conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, I love her. She spoke at camp. And
oh my God, that was such a good one.
Yeah, she's super powerful, and I like how she takes up space. Like not everyone really takes up space,
That's
and I
big
feel
facts.
like she definitely takes up
facts.
space. So I really loved that. But share this with a friend. If you listen to any Almost 30 episodes, one of the greatest gifts you can give is sending a podcast episode to a friend and then starting a conversation around it. I feel like that is a fun way to connect with people that you care about. And if you want to get more involved in the Almost 30 community, go to almost30.com. We have a membership, which we love jumping into with you all. There are hundreds of you in there who are just very obsessed with their self-development, with connecting with each other, having a good time while we're doing it. So almost30.com/membership.
Yeah, just about Mia before we go. So Mia Magik is the headmistress and founder of the Witch School, an online school of magical artistry, and she leads retreats worldwide. She has studied yoga, meditation, Buddhism, Kabbalah, ceremonial magic, priestess arts, tantric Taoist traditions, and she's someone that is a true witch. And the book, again, is called IntuWitchin, Learn to Speak the Language of the Universe and Reclaim Your Inner Magic, which is out now.
Love it. All right. Enjoy this one, and we'll see you on the other side.
See you soon.
Okay, have you heard about this new bioactive whole food that seems almost too good to be true? I'm sure you've seen a ton of people on Instagram talking about it. It has thousands upon thousands of 5-star reviews and literally life-changing testimonials from users. It is called Armra Colostrum, baby. If you're unfamiliar with colostrum, you're not the only one. Let me tell you, colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life. You received it and contains all of the essential nutrients our bodies need in order to thrive. Armra colostrum is a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum that harnesses over 400 living bioactive nutrients that strengthen the barriers of your body and fuel cellular health for thousands of research-backed health benefits. It's pretty incredible. Health benefits like better immunity, it'll ignite your metabolism, it's great for fortifying your gut health, activates hair growth and skin radiance. It is really helpful for fitness performance. A lot of athletes have been using colostrum for a long time. It's been kind of like on the DL. So this colostrum is sustainably sourced from grass-fed cows from their co-op of surplus supply. So this is the overflow supply of the colostrum. So don't worry, the calves have all that they need, but this brand is incredible. And I've just noticed a difference in my hair, skin, and nails. I knock on wood, my immunity's been awesome, and I take colostrum every single day. And it's been great. I've incorporated it definitely for my fitness recovery too, because I've been hitting the gym a little bit more. So I'm excited for you to try Armra. We've worked out a special offer for our audience. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmra.com/almost30 or enter almost30, the code, to get 15% off your first order. That's TRYARMR. I get asked a lot, like, what are some of my top tips as a new mom? And one of them is really interesting, but I gotta say, it has saved me the mental load and time and energy, and it is getting on a diaper subscription. You don't realize as a new mom, like, how many diapers you're going to need, when you're going to need them, where you're going to need them. I have them in my diaper bag. I have them in the nursery. I have them in the car just in case. Like, I got to be ready. I got to be ready for anything that my baby has for me. So I love Hello Bello. They have your baby's butt covered, baby. Why do I love them? Okay, I'm a stickler about quality. These diapers quickly absorb. They keep your baby's booty dry. My son has never had a diaper rash. Premium double cuffs, so it prevents the leaks. I was noticing with a few other diaper brands that he was experiencing leaks, so this took care of that. Most importantly for me, they're hypoallergenic, made without artificial fragrance, phthalates, parabens, lotions, or latex. Super important. They're really, really soft, so great for sensitive skin. Lots of babies have sensitive skin. And I love the designs. The designs are so adorable. I don't know what it is about just like cute patterns and designs on babies. I love. And they're made in the USA with 100% renewable energy. So you're doing good there. And again, the diaper subscription is where it is at. I don't have to think about it. They arrive to my home once a month. I get their plant-based wipes and I get the diapers, and it's everything I need. So if you are a new parent, or if you're a parent and your child is still in diapers, get on the best diaper subscription named by New York Magazine. And it's also the winner of the 2022 Good Housekeeping Parenting Award, Hello Bello. So go to hellobello.com/almost30 to get 30% off your first customized bundle and a full-size freebie product of your choice. So nice. I love this. 30% off is pretty major. Take advantage now. That's hellobello.com/almost30 to start bundling with 30% off your first order. Don't forget, that's hellobello, HELLOBELLO.com/almost30.
We can even just rip into it.
You do. I'm good. I feel so much better now. And I also, I knew that I was coming to literally the two women who could understand most where I am, like to you and then Sahara. I was like,
that
so
makes me emotional.
I can show up here as I am right now and just be. And I know that I'm not going to be in trouble or punished or like made wrong. I'm just where I am right now.
Yeah. And I even think about that, you know, for people listening, it's like being in sisterhood and being in friendship with people and like holding people through transitions and seasons. Like, it is so important and it's so powerful that we're able to do that. Like, what has been your journey in sisterhood, you know, your journey in finding friendships that you feel supported by and seen? Because it's not always easy, especially for someone like you who is like out there, you're yourself. Like that can be triggering for people.
Totally. And that was really part of the map for me, is those who are triggered by me, those who are intimidated by me, those who want to keep me small or who can't handle me the way that I am. Like, bless, that's all good. I understand why those people feel that way about me, in both like the positive and the negative. Sometimes people are just like, oh, I'm a calmer energy. I don't like this intensity, or I don't like the roller coaster that you ride on for your life. That's totally fine. I respect everyone's sovereign choices. And some people, it does come from a wound and they don't feel safe to be themselves. And so someone like me, who is so fully themselves, is really like threatening or just unattractive. Like, it's kind of repellent. And that's okay, because that the more I've been myself, the more easily aligned I am with the kinds of women who can handle me being myself and who celebrate who I am and who are excited about someone who is unabashed and bold and unapologetic and a little too loud and all of the things. And so it's actually been a really amazing gift. It's, this is like the whole premise of my book is the as above, so below, and as within, so without. And that is following your intuition. So for me, the more myself I've been, the more deeply supported I am by the kinds of women who want to be more themselves and who honor how much courage it takes to do that in this modern age. And so it's been an incredible gift for me to continue committing to liberating any of the stories that prevent me from being in my magic and my power, and then witness how women who are safe in their own power, whatever that looks like, totally different textures and flavors and iterations and expressions, but those are the women that are drawn to me and that feel safe with me and then make me feel safe in turn. And so it's been a really long journey because I did spend my young adulthood and preteens and middle school and all of that. I spent that time hiding from who I truly was, pretending like I wasn't powerful, being interested in things or pretending to be interested in things that I wasn't ever actually interested in because that's what the girls liked.
Like what?
Oh my God, just like reality TV.
Oh, yeah.
Like my friends watched the Kardashians and I would sit down and just be like, how are we doing? I don't fucking care.
Honestly, the ultimate witches.
Well, yeah, I mean, God bless them. It's like
the ultimate witches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even have to be that. It's like I lived with these amazing like gay dudes in college and they just watched like all the little home and garden, like it's feel good TV, bless. But for me, it was a lot about, and also just like going out and clubbing, like drinking. I never felt good drinking. Same. It always made me feel so horrible and I would black out easier than everyone and I would make horrible mistakes and I would wake up and people would tell me things that I did. And I was like, oh my God, say it isn't so. And so just, in every way, my behaviors, my interests, what I spent my time doing was all basically to try and fit in with people who never actually really cared about who I truly was.
I think that's like underline _ exclamation is that for everyone listening to think about that, like do the people that are judging you or criticizing you or making you feel small or just not aligned, they actually don't care. So the people that you're trying to impress don't care about themselves. They don't care about you. It's like what is sort of happening there. But did you ever have like a dark period in your life where it was like, okay, you were kind of not yourself. You were like watching reality, and you're like, all right, I'm going to fucking be myself. And I always tell women that I work with, it's like you might have a dark period before you have the magnetism of women that are in their power. And because you're in your power too. Was there ever a time where you're like, I'm so lonely and I'm myself right now?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a period between the time of like coming into the sisterhood and the amazing women that I have now. It was that beginning period of being in LA for me. I mean, I was lonely through my time in New York, but I did have a couple of people that even though we had different interests, they did love me and they did love who I was. And I could be more of myself. And even if nobody else liked me, they were like, I see you, girl. I love you, But when I moved to LA with my former partner and just didn't have a lot of friends at all, and then couldn't find my friends because I was pretending so hard to be someone that I wasn't, I had a lot of deep loneliness. And honestly, I think everybody can resonate with this, that it doesn't even matter if you're surrounded by people that don't really connect with your spirit. That is almost the most lonely you can be. It's like you can have parties and distractions and all the Netflix and all the people around, but if they don't make you feel safe to be who you are, that's like the loneliest feeling in the world. And I felt like that for years and years and years. And then even still, when I met the friends that I have now, they helped me become more of myself by loving me. And that was something that Charles Eisenstein said to me once, which God bless that man, such a brilliant, brilliant wizard. He said, people think that you have to love yourself first in order to manifest love. That, you have to be this beacon of self-love in order to magnetize that reflection. But actually, some of the greatest healing we can experience is just being loved by someone.
100%.
And so I have absolutely experienced that with my sisters, with my friends, with my partner, you know, just being loved for this wild, crazy, powerful, feral creature that I am, and being celebrated for that. But it was a very lonely road to get here. And it did feel dark, and it didn't feel like there would be light at the end of the tunnel, but I just like kept clawing my way through. And I eventually made it into, the kinds of sisterhood and friendships, and, you know, even us just deepening and getting to like see and hold and love each other and know more about each other's magic is just such an incredible gift. And it is, my friendships are one of the things in my life that I am most grateful for. And I would not be here without them. And I would be utterly lost, and nothing, all the success and all the amazing things that I'm doing just wouldn't mean anything if I didn't have the women in my life.
It's actually crazy. Like I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if it's where we live. I don't know if it's what we do, that we all hang out with healers and teacher. You know what I mean? I always think about that. I'm like, I'm getting thousands of dollars worth of coaching in this voice note, but it's like, women lately are just really blowing my mind.
I know. We're crushing it.
Crushing it. We are doing so much. We are healing so much. We are taking on so much. We are taking like it is, I'm just in awe, and I don't have a family yet. I'm not with my partner yet. And it's like, to imagine that component as well, in addition to everything that I'm doing, it feels like really powerful that we can do so much. But I've always felt like, and I'm curious what comes up when I say this, but the people that are the most intuitive, the people that are the most empathic, the people that are the most like energetically attuning to people are often take on the most. And so then they kind of get lost in the sauce of what's meant for them. And even me, as someone that's incredibly intuitive, like I just take on so much that I can't listen to my intuition. So what do you think is like happening with women? Or like, do you think that's a trend where you see women that are incredibly intuitive and empathic taking on the most and doing the most?
Totally. And I do think that sometimes in the spiritual community, we lean on that like, oh, I'm an empath.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're also everything. You're one with all that you see before you. And so anything outside that you're feeling does have some vibrational match or resonance within you. And that's why, you know, we were just talking before about like the warring and the genocide. Like we war within ourselves. We abuse our inner children. We shut down our emotions or our creativity or some dream that we have. So all of that outside is happening inside. But I do think that women have, and all people, we've not been taught to follow our magic and our power. And now it's safer, and in the Western world, for, you know, us who are privileged enough and brave enough to be doing it, we have the opportunity to follow our intuition, to listen to that inner voice. And when it says, do this ritual or go on this trip or take this retreat or learn from this teacher or, you know, offer this thing in your business, we can do that. And so we are also taking on more because we're receiving the guidance that is asking us, I think, like what my relationship to the goddess feels like is in service to the liberation of all of humanity. That's what she wants from me. That's what she's asking of me and of us. You're doing your Divine Mother retreat. I'm doing my amazing like Hogwarts Castle retreats. Like this is what we're doing because people come and they are transformed on the other side. And so I really do believe that, of course, we're the ones taking more on because we're the ones who are doing the work internally to eradicate those pains and challenges that we see externally, which is really hard to do. But then you make space and you liberate that limitation or that hindrance, and it is filled with new magic or new beauty or new power, and you feel inspired and you feel lit up by that and you want to do it. Like everything that I'm doing in my books and in my business, yes, I would slow it down. You know, I would take a few months off and just go hang out in Thailand for a little bit and ride some elephants and swim in a river and hang on waterfalls. But I'm so lit and motivated by the information that has healed me. Of course I want to share it. Of course I want to get it out into the world. And I want to provide other people who are lost in the storm with the kind of beacon and lighthouse that I didn't have to help guide them home to themselves and to their divinity and magic too. So yes, of course we take more on than we would like to, but it's because we're willing to listen. And most people aren't willing to listen, and they are distracted and they can't hear it. And we do have all these voices and all this noise that go on all the time that make it challenging to hear. But that's why we're doing the work.
Yeah.
That's why we're being brave, is so we can hear that voice more clearly, so that we know we're sovereign in our energy and anything that comes at us. And if we're feeling like a little too empathic or like we've taken on a little bit too much, we can still remember our power and our emanation of the goddess, and then continue serving her through that.
Yeah, it's huge. How important would you say that healing yourself is before you start to do magic and rituals and like all of like the outside glittery stuff that you see?
Well, to me, healing is a ritual. Any intentional experience where your desire is to help yourself eradicate a wound or alleviate suffering, to me, like those are the kinds of rituals that I like to lead, you know? But I do think that the magic, the manifestation element of the magic only really comes easily and effortlessly in that way that it's like, oh, it just appeared. I believe that only comes after healing. So for me, healing is the number one ingredient. I consider my deepest, greatest powers like, yes, I'm a master manifester. That's because I toiled in my own healing and shit and shadows and darkness for years and suffered a lot. And so, but I kept going, clawing through that tunnel, right? And I kept going and kept recommitting to my healing. And now I know that because I moved that stagnant energy or those limiting beliefs or the parts of myself that felt unworthy or undeserving, or like success had to be really hard, which, it definitely has gotten harder as it's gotten bigger. I totally admit that. But I truly believe that healing is the number one ingredient in being able to utilize magic to manifest what you desire. And if it is just going to be the external things like, oh, I'm going to manifest this car or this partner or this whatever, this job, healing is the most surefire way to allow yourself to be able to create those things more easily.
Yeah.
And ritual is my favorite way of healing. Then it's fun and it feels magical and you feel connected to the universe. And you also have this way of being held. Like I feel myself in the hands of the goddess when I say, hey, I'm willing to meet this edge or talk to this demon or this inner critic or this shadow inside of me. Can you hold me and can you help me through it? And she always says yes. And then you become more powerful on the other side, which then allows you to more easily magnetize the magic and manifestations you desire in your life.
Yeah. Finding those growth edges of those places and spaces. It's like once you hit one and you're like, okay, I can do this. You hit another and you're like, okay, I can do this. And it's the wholeness for me, that's really it. And manifestation, once you heal, your manifestation desires change. You know what I mean? Like you just want for nothing. You're like, I want a yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I want a big ass tree in my yard. I want like space for my cats to play.
Feel that.
It's crazy. Like you start to want for nothing. So it's like, that's actually, I want to talk to you about this. That's actually been interesting for me because the more healed I am, the less I want.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a part of me that says that I won't be as successful because I don't desire as much. What do you think about that when I say that?
Well, I think that the definition of success is the challenge in that, right?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because like if you don't want anything, then aren't you already sort of by definition successful? Like you've reached and achieved fulfillment and contentment in that way. And so, not wanting anything is also the ultimate vibration of gratitude and abundance. You're like, I have everything that I want. I am everything that I need. Wow, this is incredible. What an amazing blessing. And I think that all it takes to really make that into true success is to appreciate it and to let yourself be grateful for it. And, just to use this example, like my partner and I did manifest this big, amazing castle that you're going to come to in a couple days. And it's going to be so fun. And it's wonderful. And it doesn't have any trees. Like you said, I just want a place for my cats to play. And I got the intuitive hit. This is not a good place for the cats. And 2 months after we moved in, I lost my best friend, familiar, soulmate, child, cat, because there weren't any trees for her to run up and get away from predators. I mean, we don't know what happened to her, but she disappeared. And so it's also the things that we want sometimes, most of the time, I believe, they are for a reason. They're part of our destiny. They're part of the manifestations that then allow us to create the kinds of success that are helping support other people and are in service. Like my success is in service. Your success is in service. That's what's making us successful is that we are being of service to the feminine and the masculine and the entirety of humanity. And so I really believe that simultaneously, when you don't want anything else, that means that you've achieved your dreams and goals, and maybe you'll grow new ones. Maybe they'll emerge, and like that's great.
And it's weird because there is a part of me. It's weird because I say that I'm like I'm so satisfied and happy because I think there's a part of me that didn't expect myself to be anything in life. So the fact that I am someone that I'm proud of is like a big thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, what are you even doing out of Ohio? So there's that. And then, but I do think it's like, I think it's stretching my goals. And maybe there's a part of me actually that's afraid of having really big goals because then it feels like something to do. And I'm like, fuck, I cannot have more to do. Because once I have something to do, it's goodbye. I'm on and popping with work vibe. So it's just like feels so overwhelming. But as someone that is in my own work and healing and someone that is deeply intuitive, I do think that when I'm slow is when I'm most connected. So can you talk about the importance of slowing down for the modern witch? I mean, us both running around town.
Do as I say, not as I do, because I'm tired and running a lot right now. But that for me is why I go to nature and why I remember everything in nature. I mean, okay, like bees buzz quickly, but nature moves slowly. And I think that is part of why, and we're seeing this, we were talking before about the modern woman crushing it, like doing so much, building businesses, running teams. You and I haven't had the babies, but I don't even know how women do what we're doing with a child. I'm like, I can't even do it with a cat, And so I think that one thing is that it isn't actually in our nature to be running so fast. And so when we can operate in the slowness, it does embody that same contentedness and success. It embodies trust and faith of like, actually, I know I can slow down right now and it's all still going to happen perfectly and I'm going to be taken care of and it's all good. And so I think that there's an element, and I take really slow mornings. I got up at 6 this morning and I didn't start my calls until 10 and I just played with my cats and did my yoga and did my meditation. And so for 4 hours of the day, I was slow. And then for the rest of the day, from 10 to now, I'm on, and it's happening. And then I go from here to another, it's a lot happening. But when we can take the slow moments or give ourselves permission to have the slow times, it's okay for us to, as modern beings, to balance our masculine and feminine. And what does that look like, And to me, the healing is often slow. I was not one of those people that had the instant Kundalini awakening and okay, now I'm fully spiritual and I'm a living goddess and everything's so great. My whole life changes overnight. No. I was on a marathon. And it was healing this particular wound. Okay, let's talk about my daddy issues and let's talk about my inner child and let's talk about my fear of being seen. And you're talking about big goals. I had so much torture and torment from childhood about being successful because I read a story about the kind of life that I was going to lead in 6th grade one night and everyone tormented me after it. They're like, who the fuck do you think you are? Small town.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I associated success with rejection and abandonment and bullying. And if I reached these big goals, people were going to hate me. And so there's a lot that we get to do to work through any of those beliefs that we have about success and to find the balance between, which is also such a key in magic, the balance between masculine and feminine, between surrender and action, between rest and movement, between trust and surrender and motivation and action and quickness and doing something. You cannot manifest something if you're not going to do something about it. And for me, most of that doing that was really supportive was in slow, commitment to the parts of my feminine that needed to be held or that needed to be healed and needed to feel safe to be who I truly am. And so that those actions, those slow actions were the ones that really made the big difference in the parts of my life that moved fast. And I really witnessed for myself the healing, everything that I did, every moment that I chose to heal myself. And I said, oh, I'm going to take this time. Those actions just like moved the needle the most. And they are slow, and that's okay. It's like nature. Those are the things that helped me grow. And I think that that's really so important for all of us in the modern world is to remember. And then, you know, you do have moments, I'm sure, like you and I both are just, I dreamed of this life.
Yeah.
I wrote this life down literally in 6th grade. I was talking about it. I didn't know I could be a professional witch. Like,
what were
that's
you saying?
Pretty cool. Just about having a big life that was healing people and speaking on stages. And I had a pet tiger because I ran this tiger foundation.
I said I was an actress and a veterinarian.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Wow.
like naturally. And my 27-year-old husband, Josh, because we were like 27 and
Of
just like,
course.
you know, yeah, obviously.
27 is the age.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like
have it all together.
Exactly. And so I just had this vision, and that vision has come to fruition so much farther beyond my wildest fantasies and dreams. And it does get a little exhausting, and that's okay. It's okay to have reached somewhere that we didn't know what it was going to look like to live this way, and to now have the opportunity to be even more nourishing and nurturing and loving to ourselves with this success that we have created. And it does require slow, like I told my team, like first team meeting of the week or of the year, it was like, hey, I'm going to spend like a month in Thailand this year.
Yeah.
I want to do this 11-day river trip in Mexico. I want to do a retreat where I'm a student, not a facilitator. Like, make sure that these things happen this week. They're like, also, can we plan everything around when you're going to be on your moon so that you can have those 4 days off when you have your moon? I'm like, I fucking love you guys.
You're like, you're the fucking best.
Yeah. And that is like the ask to slow down. And it's hard to do it, but like just making the effort is devotion to the goddess within and all around us.
Yeah. And it's also like, for me, it's like asking why we're going so fast. Like, what is the motivation? I have to be mindful. I'm like, is my motivation my inner child that's like, look at me, prove, not enough. Or is it like, ooh, I'm burning with inspiration right now. Like, I fucking feel lit up by what I'm doing. But it is interesting because a lot of women in our space, and you, and I would even say myself, and I would never normally say myself, but as visionaries, no one was making witch courses, programs, retreats. Like, no one did podcasts and brands in the way that we did it when we were starting. Yeah. And so it's like a part of that journey is coming to the place where no one we've created ourselves, and being like, okay, I didn't expect this. This is better than I've ever thought. And then like, now what a little bit? And like, where do we go from here? In a way that's not like, I'm not grateful, I'm not excited, but it's like, okay, God, goddess, what do you want from me? Yeah. Like, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? And I think for me, I'm kind of like awaiting my next orders.
And that's but like, what a blessing to be in that moment where there isn't something to like run towards now to have you know, you were like, took a moment to lay down between podcasts before I got here. What a gift. Yeah. And it's so funny. I like lost a train of thought in what I was saying before, and you literally picked up and psychically received. That was exactly what I was going to say is, what are we either slowing down or running towards? Is it a wound? Are we being lazy because we're afraid of what's coming next? Are we procrastinating because we have that, like I did, that programming from childhood of, oh, I'm going to be successful and then people are going to hate me? Or are we like motivating and pushing because like our dads never showed up for us and they didn't come to our game, so we have to prove to them that we can do it and we did it without you, and like, fuck you, bro, I didn't need you, you know, like, is that the thing that's driving you? And so really paying attention to what's driving you is super important. And I mean, I just think that that's such a blessing to have that moment, because right now, like, my list of orders is so long, girl. Like, it's so long, and I'm so grateful to be doing it. But like, I'm waiting for a moment like that where I could just take a breath and not know what comes next, and be able to just sit with that and say thank you for all these amazing orders and thank myself for accomplishing those missions and for, you know, the perseverance and the resilience that's required to honor all of those orders. And y'all have built something so big and so incredible and so amazing. And you've got your book. It's like, you know, you do have other orders. Like there's other things
like
coming.
Our book edits are due next week.
Exactly.
Got
It's
other
like,
orders.
just kidding. Like,
I'm like, but I don't want to. I'm like, but I just want to like not think about them.
Yeah.
But it's funny too because I think women also too with women doing so much. We have capacity.
Yeah.
Psychically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And then also when you love stuff, it kind of gets tricky sometimes because you're like, I love all my friends. I love what I do. I love these things. And then it becomes something that almost consumes you where you burn out from stuff that you love. And then you start to, you know, like, it's just a lot.
It is a lot. I haven't had a one-on-one friend date. Like, I don't even remember the last time.
Really?
Yeah. And I had someone ask me, they're like, hey, do you want to hang? I'm like, girl, I can only do group things right now.
Multitasking.
Like, I don't have the capacity to just sit with one person at any time of day or night because all of my time is being utilized to be on my marching orders. You know?
What's that vibe? What's the vibe then? Because if we think about witches and witches in history and witches over time, like I think you mentioned this before we started, it's like they weren't doing this much.
No.
So what are we doing? Like if we want to be actual in our magic, how could we do that and be on our computers for 8 hours a day and be like fucking trying to save the world?
I mean, from my perspective, that is the magic that's required to save the world right now, right? Because look at how many people you're touching. You've touched millions of people's lives. That's incredible. We wouldn't, I would live in a burnt out redwood tree with my cat, and that would be, you'd have to find the hanging feathers and the whorls of moss, and like that would be how you would come to me in my little witch cabin, you know? And bless that life. I still dream about it almost every day. I'm like living by a river, you know? But
it's like, I want to be on a stage in front of millions or in a tree.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I dream about that life in the tree. And the thing is that I know that where my life is going now is to make the kind of impact. And someone said to me on this, I was telling you about tried to take a month off and go to Hawaii, and it ended up being 6 days. And then I had edits for my book that needed to happen. So I literally got like one afternoon off. But a friend of mine that I was hiking out to the Nepali coast with said, have you ever thought about what was happening in these indigenous civilizations that you talk so much about the wisdom of and that you share so much in service and reverence to? Have you ever thought about what was happening that drew in? Like if you believe that everything is created, what was happening? What were they doing to draw in the colonizers and to draw in all of this horror? And I know, thank you. That was me. I'm like on the Nepali coast in Hawaii with my jaw just like,
I love people.
No,
I love
sir.
questions like that.
I haven't thought about that, as a matter of fact. And he said, I think that it's for what's happening now. It's for there to be a mass reintegration of our species. Now we can be connected worldwide. Now we can understand not just the spiritual nature of reality, but the quantum nature of reality. We can integrate science and spirituality. We can become the gods and goddesses of our myth and legend and fairy tales and folklore. And I believe that all of that pain had to happen. Look at the way that we all function. I'm in my healing era. Because when we heal, our pain drives us to find more magic, more love, more beauty, more liberation, more freedom. And so all of this pain, all of this suffering that's occurring in the world, it has to be for some reason, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't, people are like, why do you think the witch burnings happened? I'm like, bro, I don't fucking know. Like, I wish I had an answer for that, If I had an answer.
Because they all hate their mothers.
Yeah, or something. Or they tried to fuck a priestess who denied them, and she was like so beautiful and said yes to all their friends and like not to them. And then they just were like, okay, no, we're kill the witches, whatever it was, we can't, I wish that would be like my first stop in my time machine if I could go back, but I watch what's happening now and what is possible for women beyond just being priestess oracular nobility who is like taken care of in our opulent temples, which is so beautiful and amazing. But now, like, we build our own temples and we are in charge of our devotion and our worship. And I just hope and I pray that that question that he asked me and what we're doing now is because there is something so much greater that is a possibility in our wisdom. And that's what witch means. It means wise. It means one with wisdom, one who sees, one who knows. And so if we can operate from our lived embodied wisdom, from all the hard lessons we've learned in our life, right? Some people have hard lessons and those traumas lead them to continue perpetuating abuse or to inflict violence upon others or to rape and plunder and pillage the planet, whatever it is. But if those of us who are using our pasts and our challenges and our ancestral trauma to heal and to alchemize and to rebirth ourselves, which serves the collective because we are all inherently one and linked, I feel like that is a pretty good motivation. And if it's this like far, zoomed out consciousness that's so unfathomable to us and our little teeny tiny human brains, I think that would be a fun game to play, right? Okay, let's like thrust it down into the deepest darkness and see how it returns to the light. Can it do that? And we're proving that we can. And so I do believe that the new era of witches and magical people is an even more deeply embodied sense of our wisdom that allows us to share it with others, to live it within ourselves, and to awaken the planet as a whole.
Yeah, I went to Abraham Hicks the other weekend and I loved what she said. She said, instead of thinking why the problem is a problem, think why the solution will feel good. And I love that with the witch thing too, because it's like, why do you think they killed witches? Why do you think this is going on? Why do you think, and I can get caught in that because I'm a studier of humans. I'm here on earth to like just fucking see what's going on and check it out. And so I love understanding. I love being like, what are you thinking about? Yeah. What's going on here? But it's like, what do we want to create? What is the space that we want to be in? What is it going to feel like when we finally get to a place where it feels really, really good? That was really beautiful, your answer. I wanted to kind of go back a little bit to something that I think people are going to be really excited about. They love talking about it, masculine, feminine. What is the witch's perspective on the masculine, feminine?
Oh my goddess. I love that question because to me, it's that we are all everything. We're all one. And when you look back at the origin of God, creative energy, consciousness, all of our OG stories are this mother God, but not without the father God. It's both. There is the masculine and the feminine. Even like the witch hat that I often wear, when you flip it upside down, it's the shape of the womb, the point, and then the two like ovarian tubes and little horns. They're called something like that. Anyways, and that shape is also the shape of the masculine animals that we have lived and evolved alongside of for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. The hooved creatures that supply milk and food and sustenance without ever having to kill them. So the masculine goats, sheep, cows, all of those animals have that womb-faced or womb-shaped face. And so the original masculine and feminine was the mother and the father. And when the church came in, they turned the mother into the father and they turned the father into the devil. And so it was not originally good versus evil.
Say that again and say why that is.
So the mother God, right, who was the creator.
Got it.
Even before, we didn't know, before like science, you didn't even know that it required a masculine element for a woman to get pregnant. You can have sex and not show that you're pregnant for 4.5 or 5 months. Wow. So like, how would we know that this little white fluid that comes out of the man is actually doing anything to make her pregnant? She can just like get pregnant, right? So the mother was the creator, always. Like these are the oldest stories on earth. God was the mother, creative force, energy, the feminine in the universe. Of course, there is a father, there is the protector, there is the hunter, there is the builder. But when Christianity took over, and really all of the monotheists, they changed this because even ancient Judaism had the Elohim was like this group of gods, masculine and feminine, the Shekinah, and changed the mother god or goddess into the father god and changed the father god into the devil. Mm-hmm. That's why he's hooved and horned and looks like that, is because that used to be the father. It wasn't evil, it was the father. And the creator was the mother, not the father. Mm. And now all of a sudden in all the monotheistic religions, like the creator is the father. That's literally doesn't happen. If we're created in the image and likeness of God, like it's pretty obvious that the woman is the creator. And so for me also, in my tradition and in witchcraft, one, you want to have the balance of both, right? To manifest anything, you've got to have like the trust and the faith and the creative energy to do it, but you have to take the actions. You have to do the healing. You have to show the universe or the greater creative consciousness that you're committed, that you're devoted. If all of your actions are against or in opposition to your manifestation, like it's not going to come true. You can't just like say a bunch of affirmations, but then act totally in opposition to it, or it's not going to work. And so one of the things that I love about the relationship between masculine and feminine in the witch traditions is that there is also a father nature. It's mother nature and father nature. And when you look at the trees and the bees and the flowers and the butterflies, like they have that long, languid tongue that they stick into the flowers, that they pollinate. Like nature is making love with itself all the time. And you see the way that, you know, I'm a redwood tree. And so you see the way that the roots spread out and they're like gnarled and whorled and they spin and they have this very liquid energy. And when they fall, it's like this big, beautiful pussy that's been just slurped onto the earth. But that tree is tall and straight and phallic. Mm-hmm. And so there is this balance of masculine and feminine always in the earth and in the world. And that to me is such an invitation for us all. And as a very, you know, a hyper feminine woman in my way, very goddessy and very flowy and dance and pleasure and creativity and all the things, I'm also super assertive and very direct. Yep. And I know what I want and I'm going to get it. And so far I get everything that I want. And like, that's just what I do. And those are very masculine traits. And having both is what has allowed me to build the life that I have and to create what I desire. And so it's imperative for us to acknowledge both mother and father nature. And sometimes it is like those marching orders. You're like, hey, I need you to do this. This is your assignment. Yep. Like you're going to need to be brave and you're going to need to like pick up the sword. Yep. Hopefully love is the weapon in this case, and I'm going to need you to fight for what's right and what you believe in. And sometimes it's going to be like, hey girl, take a break, just rest and chill and listen. Like, can you be slow and quiet enough to listen and to hear me for what comes next, right? Like that's kind of the phase that you're in is, can I actually allow myself to slow down enough to hear her voice? Mm-hmm. And that's why I love just going and being in nature. That is my greatest recharge. It is my nourishment and my healing. And I feel both energies of masculine and feminine that, you know, it's different. Obviously, some of us didn't have two parents, but if you did, or if you had those archetypes in your life, there is a very different energy of being held by your mother and held by your father. And I have plenty of my issues with my parents, but I do at least have specific memories of being held by each of them in different times where I was sad or I felt alone. And they are just totally supportive and very synergistic, right? The two different types of love and holding, they empower one another and they make one another better, but they are distinct and they are unique. And so if we can find those ways to hold ourselves, I think that is the ultimate wisdom of the masculine and feminine energy is, can I hold myself and create? Can I provide for myself, which, you know, some of us are a little tired of doing, you know, but can I provide for myself in a way that maybe just feels more energetic now and allow someone else to provide for me or take care of me in whatever way, like the balance actually works out for you. But can I rest and take action? Can I work and play? And finding that balance that was certainly what I did to manifest my partner, was really working with my inner masculine side. How do I need to create more structures and more discipline in my life in order to hold this wild, creative feminine that I am? And so that is certainly a powerful way of I believe also supporting the world and the wounds that all of us have. A lot of people don't, we have this witch wound, all of these witch trials, killing women and people of all kinds for their magic, for their power, that makes us afraid to stand tall and be big and share our message. And most people don't talk about the fact that the witch wound affected men as well, because if 9 million women were killed, they left behind a lot of brothers and sons and husbands and fathers, and those men's duty was to take care of those women. And so they failed at their duty, and that is agonizing for a man. That is incredibly painful. And so men are carrying that wound as well as the wound of perpetuating violence against women and using rape as like a power play and a weapon of war. And so we are all deeply suffering from our wounded masculine and our wounded feminine, and doing everything we can in our healing work to support both of those energies is truly how we become synergistically aligned and balanced within ourselves, and exponentially more powerful to make all of our dreams and magic come alive.
Yeah, it's all about wholeness for me, and same. It's like, I love my masculine, I love my feminine, and also too, I think for a lot of women and people, the masculine that they're operating from is wounded masculine, or it's like their inner child. It's really like a program's running that is not even really the masculine. What's interesting, even I've been thinking about this lately, even us just talking about being provided for and kind of like the pressures for us to do everything and like wanting to buy a home and wanting to have it all. It's like, I feel like so many people are feeling this, and we're kind of looking around at each other. We're like, where's the man that's going to provide? Where's the relationship that's going to be like this? And I'm not always this type, but it really is like we are being pressured from the top fucking down.
Yeah.
With inflation, with the cost of living, with the cost of homes, with like the cost of food, like with all the things that are going on economically and politically, like they are fucking squeezing us and like making it so hard so that women have to do everything. We have to have multiple jobs. We have to try and make it work. And the men also feel that pressure too, where they're like, I'm fucking doing my best and I can't even provide for my family. It's like, I think having that perspective has been helpful to me, because it's like, I think we look at the men, we're like, provide, but it's like, they're suffering so much, trying so hard to like provide. And I think men, when they feel like they cannot provide, are just, I think it's like a nail in the coffin.
Yeah. And that's like the OG witch wound too. Like, I couldn't provide safety for my woman. I couldn't actually even save her life, let alone provide her with the kind of life she wants. She doesn't even have one anymore. And I watched her be taken from my arms or whatever it is. And it's very hard for them. And they, they're doing their best. Like, they're trying to, and we want them to feel and heal and do the work with us, but they've been programmed their entire lives not to feel anything, and that healing makes you weak. And if you have to do the work, it's because you're broken. And it's like, it's not easy for anybody right now. And that's why it takes so much courage to do the healing work, and why I do think that, when you look back in history, this is why women were the leaders, is because look at the leadership on our planet now, the way that men in their hyper wounded masculine and even women in their over masculine energy, we're really not doing a great job of taking care of our species. And women, did you ever see that movie? They made this beautiful film. It was at one of the Guggenheim or something. It was at one of the LA museums, and it was.
Then I know.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, okay. It was like if women ran the UN. It's fucking iconic. It's so good, and we don't have that kind of leadership.
Yeah.
Even like those videos go viral of like the weatherman trying to do his report, and his kid's coming in. He's like literally like hitting the kid out of the room. Because you're not supposed to be a good parent or to take any moment away from your job in order to support your child who's having a moment. And it's hard. And I think that we also, everyone wants to be provided for, and it is just like, I think back to where I was financially a few years ago, I could not be surviving at all. Like, my sourdough bread at the farmer's market that this beautiful woman makes by hand, God bless her, I want to support her too, it's $30 for a loaf of bread, like, And I buy it every week. God bless. You know?
God bless.
But I think but it's because I want to support someone like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy a big loaf of bread in plastic from some horrible company that's just using all the glyphosate and all the shit and like doesn't care about the soil. Or I want to support her who's doing it the way that we've done bread for thousands of years, you know? And so we are so blessed to be able to be voting with our dollar for the kinds of transformation that we want to see and we want to experience. And we do have to change the systems because they're not working for us. And again, that leads back to the like, oh, well, it's all one. So we are the systems. So the more that we eradicate those systemic issues and scarcity within ourselves, the more we'll then reflect that true nature of abundance, which also is nature. So the more we desecrate and destroy nature, the more scarcity we're perpetuating in our lives. And so it all really goes hand in hand, healing ourselves, healing nature, and healing the systems that are governing our world.
Easy task. Easy task.
No big deal.
Easy task for a witch.
Yeah.
I've been getting compliments on my hair. It is visibly thicker and fuller and shinier and longer. And I have to attribute some of this glorious hair growth and just looking amazing to Vegamore. I love this brand. They're not just like cute little pink bottles, but these are formulations, hair care that are made without the harsh ingredients and that actually work. Clean hair care has never worked for me until now. You know me, I'm always trying to do right by my body. So like finding a product that's clean but also works is kind of major. I got their Grow Essentials kit. So you can try more than one amazing product at a really great saving. So I highly recommend starting there. You can also sign up for a monthly subscription. You'll save even more. So you'll never run low on products. So a part of the Grow Essentials kit, I just wanted to mention a few things. So the shampoo and conditioner are like chef's kiss. They smell amazing. And honestly, my hair has never felt healthier. And I always do like the dry and blow dry test. So the air dry and the blow dry test, and they both pass. Like my hair looks amazing both ways. I also use the Grow Hair Serum, which comes with it as well. So this reduces the signs of hair thinning for thicker, fuller, longer looking hair. It's great as like a spot treatment. So I have certain spots like postpartum where I'm like, needs a little thickening there. And I like that it doesn't leave any residue and it doesn't make my hair greasy. And yeah, it's amazing. It's a little dropper, easy to use. It also comes with the Grow Scalp Detoxifying Serum. So it's really important that we take care of our scalp health. So I will massage this evenly onto my dry or damp scalp. I'll leave it in for like 3 to 5 minutes. I'll rinse and that's it. I use it like once weekly. So it's really, really easy. And it just makes sure that it removes the buildup for healthy sebum production. And will get rid of my flakes that I've had recently. So for our listeners, I'm really excited. You get a discount. Elevate your hair wellness routine this year with Vegamore. For a limited time, get 20% off your first subscription order by going to vegamore.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 at checkout. That's vegamour.com/almost30. Code is almost30 to save 20% on your first order. vegamour.com/almost30. Code is almost30.
One thing that you talk about that I'm obsessed with that I never thought about is manifestation with like in accordance to the earth, in partnership for the earth. That was like mind blowing to me. Will you talk more about that?
Yeah, of course. One of my favorite subjects of all time.
Love.
So like I was just saying, the pillaging of the earth for resources is coming from scarcity, right? We're trying to make all this money. She makes water, she makes fruit, she makes wood, she makes animals, like she makes all of these things for free and then we commodify them. And so one of the best ways that I have manifested massive abundance, my partner, my home, all the things in my life is by being even more harmonious and in service and devotion to Mother Earth. So like I live in a really big, outrageously large home.
Dope.
And I furnished every single thing everything, down to my gold silverware that's like cool Tibetan silverware from this like old lady's house that I got on Facebook Marketplace. Everything secondhand.
Facebook Marketplace is such a vibe.
Everything secondhand. I got restoration hardware cloud couches secondhand. I got cool furniture from the flea markets, like lamps and desks and every single thing I got secondhand because there's enough stuff already on the earth. There are plenty of things. You look at one Home Depot, there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of Home Depots, and one Home Depot has like enough stuff to just like pollute the entire area around it. And then there's Bed Bath & Beyonds and Targets and Walmarts. And so I just noticed at a certain point, I also had a really deep shopping addiction when I was a kid or a young adult, and I would try and fill this void.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm going to buy this thing and then I'll feel pretty and then I'll look beautiful and then I'll be okay. And then people will like me because now I'm pretty and now I'm good enough because of this one fucking thing. And it would sit in my closet with the tag on, you know? I'm like, I spent I'd
be at like Delia's and Limited too.
Exactly.
Doing my thing.
Like I spent my whole allowance on that and now it's just sitting there because it's not coming from inspiration. And so I compost, I pee outside, I buy everything secondhand. I do as much as I can. I donate 10% of the proceeds from my business to Save the Redwoods and other charity organizations that are doing the kind of work that I believe in. Like I'm definitely a nature supporter. That's a big thing for me. But I have found that not only that balance, right? So that balance between masculine and feminine energy, in order to really be empowered and not in the wounded masculine or feminine, we have to operate like nature, which is generous and abundant and creative, but also takes winter and takes that season of like, I'm not doing anything. I'm dormant. I'm resting. And so the more that I have been in tune with Mother Earth, the more that I have listened to her, and we call her mother for a reason. She's the mother we all share. She is the one thing that unites our entire species and makes us brothers and sisters. And when I speak to her like my teacher and my guide and my mother and my lover and my friend, I receive guidance and support from her. And I go out, one of my like favorite rituals of all time and some of the most powerful magic that I've ever done was I got this guidance. I was in Crete and I got the guidance to take a hike naked. I was like, what, girl? Like, I'm not going to do that. And she was like, trust me, you're alone. You're safe. I've got you. Just do it. I just did it topless. I was like, I can't take my pants off here. I'm like, I just can't. But I went up, hiked this mountain, did get naked at the top of the mountain. And I just laid down with my womb and my heart and my third eye to the earth. And she said, just stay here until you learn to hear my song, or until you can hear me sing my song. And I laid for like 5 hours. And eventually I like turned my head and there was a little green spider spinning a web between two blades of grass. It was the same color as the blade of grass. And I'm just sitting watching the spider and there's this little like purple flower next to it. And I just kept staying. And eventually I heard this humming vibration, this rumbling song. And I'd never just stayed quiet and still and not looked at my phone or done fucking anything else for that long, ever. And I heard her song. I could hear her singing to me. And it was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever done. And it was just because I listened and I slowed down and I was willing to say, okay, the action that I will take right now is to be here with you, doing nothing else but opening my heart and my womb and my mind to you. And after I heard her song for a few minutes, something just, and the vibration shifted. And I knew all of a sudden, oh, there's someone coming. And I like got myself dressed and kept sitting and stood up at the top of the mountain and way down on like another plateau. Would have taken him like another 15 or 20 minutes to walk up to me. But there was a man who had just come and he was doing his own thing, exploring the ruins as well. But she like showed me and changed the vibration so that I knew and so that I could keep myself safe. And that was one of, I've had so many moments with Mother Nature and the goddess as an expression of this planet, this sentient deity upon whose skin we're literally like tiny little microscopic bacterium. And that moment fundamentally shifted my life. And I started doing that practice in the Redwoods or in other places where I could just fully sink in. And the amount of abundance, the blessings that would come after every time I did that, the huge opportunities, the big checks, the like next level launches, or like not having to do anything and then something amazing would happen. It was so profound. I could not deny my connection to her and her offering to me of the remembrance of what true abundance is. And so now I am, I don't order anything from Amazon. I buy everything secondhand, even like this dress, my Balenciaga bag, like everything, my shoes, like everything secondhand, with the exception of occasionally I do buy original art. So I support artists who are painting, because one, I love art and I just was raised like that. My parents always did that. And then like crafts and things, like people who make things by hand. I do buy like jewelry and things that are made by hand, usually at like farmers markets or, on Etsy or whatever. But I feel the way that Mother Earth responds to that commitment. And I feel her graciously blessing me, because like there is enough stuff on this earth already for all of us to survive and have everything that we need. And so, yeah, I like being a proponent of that, especially being like, cool and cute and in our community and like looking all the little things, and people wouldn't assume that. And they're like, everyone knows when you come over to my house, like as much as you can, just pee outside, like don't waste the water. Yeah. And the water, and this is one thing that most people don't think about, right? Is that if our bodies, this is the earth element. This is the earthly body. This is the element of our physical existence, our money, our finances, our career, our home, our relationships. And then the water is our blood, but it is the element of our creativity and our sexuality and our emotions. And so when we are toxifying the water and then sending it through all these filtration systems and all of these pipes and tubes and telling the waters, which we are the same percentage of water as the planet, and we're telling the waters, there's something wrong with you, you're broken, we have to fix you, but we polluted you in the first place, we toxified you, you are not sacred, you are not worthy of being cared for. And we do the same thing to our sexuality and our creativity and our emotions, especially to the masculine. And so it's really, really imperative for us to be aware of how we treat these elements, and the better that we treat them, or I have found that the better I treat them, the more impact and the more blessings I receive in the way that they're reflected in my life. Same as the air is the element of mind, like how our air is so polluted, how polluted are our minds, how mentally ill are so many people. And even those of us who are really like doing our fucking best, we still have moments of anxiety and depression and suffering. And so, that is the mind, and the fire is our shining and our action and our transformation. And so often we are burned and burnt out, or like don't have, our light has been extinguished. We don't feel safe to shine. And so working with the elements has been and is a pillar of all of my work and all of my programs. And
is it the energy of the elements themselves, or with them physically? Yeah.
Both. You can do both, right? Yeah. Because you have all the elements within you. The blood in your veins is the rivers and creeks and streams of water. The breath in your lungs is exchanged between you and the natural world. It's here all the time. It's the wind within you. The fire is your beating heart. The electrical system in your body sends all of your hormones and all of everything throughout your system. And then the earth is the bones within you, like the stones and the mountains. And the fifth sacred thing is the spirit that animates us all and makes us both one and each other at the same time. So you can work with the elements physically, like every jacket I have, you'll like put your hand in the pocket if everyone borrows my jacket, and they're like, oh, there's 3 pine cones in here, And
I
like,
always have little pine cones too.
Or like crystals.
You
or
can't
like
see them without
seeds.
loving them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, come on, this is amazing.
Every time I'm on a walk, I've got a stick.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, this is your wand, right? Like, some guy, I was like, I had a stick one time and some guy walked by me on a hike and he's like, nice twig. I was like, thanks.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can work with the physical aspect, right? Working with the fire, candle magic, working with breath work, working with cleansing, baptism, far, far pre-Christian rites, ancient Egyptian, ancient Greek, Greco-Roman traditions of baptism. You can work with the elements physically or energetically in order to access those particular frequencies in your life and support your healing.
Wow. I did a peyote ceremony and we did a lot with water during it. And it's another thing where you're like, I get it, water is important, but just realizing how important water is as an element for everything, even trees and air. You're like, guys, we are looking at the wrong things, because these are actually sustaining us and keeping us alive. It's crazy. But you going to that mountain, I mean, that was your intuition.
Yeah.
You know, your guidance. And it doesn't matter at all. I know the thing is that it doesn't matter. It's all one. But I'm always curious, like, do you feel like when you hear that, is it a knowing? And then is it a guide? Is it you? Is it your higher self? Is it goddess? Like when you hear that voice, do you ever differentiate or delineate between something?
I mean, that's why I call it IntuWitchin, and why the book is called IntuWitchin is because to me, the difference between intuition and intuition, if we put the wisdom into it, is just the embodied awareness that it's something I'm meant to follow. Whatever it is, however it comes to me, if it's the goddess, if it's my higher self, if it's the voice of the earth, if it's just me actually opening and listening, I don't really care how it is. I care about the fact that when I ignore it, I always fucking regret it. And when I listen, I'm always blessed and something magical always happens. And so if I can allow my behaviors and my actions to be informed by that wisdom, that I must follow this voice. It is acting in my best and highest interest. This is my North Star that's guiding me home. Then because it is all one, it's like, it can be all of those things or something else. You know, I work with the dragons as guardians and as guides a lot. It's like, okay, well, some people might prefer guardian angels or fairies or, you know, the galactic family. It's like, you can use any of it. You can call it. It's like, that's why the goddess is like she of 10,000 names. We can call it whatever we want. But from my perspective, the most important thing is just listening to it.
What do you think is stopping women from listening? Like, what do you think is getting in the way?
Oh, so many things. I think that one, when we look at the relationship to the elements, if they are us, the way that we're, you know, putting plastic in the oceans and on our bodies, like even, you know, that's another thing that I do. I like make my own body products, or I only buy things that are like super hyper natural. I'm like so particular about, people like hand me something and I look at all the ingredients. I'm like, nope, sorry, can't use that, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think that one, the ingredients that are put in and on our bodies are a huge detriment to our capacity to listen. The way that we treat the waters, because the waters, again, are our sexuality and our creativity and our emotional reality. So if we have toxic water and air and soil, then of course those same elements are going to be toxified inside of ourselves. And because we are not forced, but we are in a time where as healers, as witches, as priestesses, we would have been cared for completely. You would have, your services, your devotion to your community would have warranted your complete care. That would have been the exchange. Is like, okay, you offer us oracular guidance. You listen to the voice of the earth for us. So we're going to give you bread and milk and eggs and cheese and meat and a home. And that's it. And we don't.
That's what I want with my man.
I know, goddess bless.
I just want to be, you're responsible for all the unseen.
Yeah.
The tender, the emotions.
Yeah.
The intuition. Let me just get the material realm down.
Yeah. And so I think that is really the biggest piece, is that once upon a time, it was our only job really to listen to that intuition, to receive the guidance, because we were the leaders of our tribe and the healers. We were the doctors. Imagine if we went on a hunt of all the doctors today. Like, you can't imagine that, because it would be psychotic. But that's what happened to the witch hunts and in that time. And so I think that it's imperative for women, you know, if you're looking around your space and like everything that you've, you know, kind of gathered into your house is fueled by scarcity. If you buy your food based on scarcity, if you treat the waters and the waters within based on scarcity, oh, I can't, or I'm broken, or I shouldn't, right? And again, like we said, taking action because of scarcity, taking action because of fear or wounding, or if I don't, then I won't, or if I do, then I will, you know, those are all really challenging programs to unearth, and we're all dealing with them all the time. And so I think it does make it really hard to listen, and that's why I wrote IntuWitchin. And I want to support women and all people to be able to reclaim that inner wisdom and guidance system. And one of the ways that has been most impactful is in understanding that symbolic language of the universe, understanding that each of those elements has that significance. And then the aspects of the elements, like the birds and the dolphins and all of the animals and these specific types of trees and all of the colors that show up in these certain ways. This is all the universe communicating to me all the time with astrological archetypes, and the numbers and every single thing around me is communicating to me. And when I really focused on learning to speak that language and understanding what was being presented to me was a message, had significance, had some form of information and invitation for me to understand how, like, what is the next step on my healing? What are my next marching orders? Where am I meant to go? What is the meaning of this thing or this challenging experience that I'm having? What am I being asked to do or to be? Then it becomes easier to listen, but we have to remember that the universe is communicating with us all the time. And when we just make an attempt and an effort, like I said, with just like the intention to have a ritual, to do your healing, the universe responds. It has to, because you are changing your entire energetic frequency by saying, I actually commit to stopping this pattern and I'm going to do something about it. And even if doing something about it just means feeling it all the way, because instead of avoiding it like I have for the rest of my life, I'm actually going to allow myself to experience it. You change the fabric of your reality. You shift the trajectory. The timeline changes and jumps to somewhere else. Every choice we make, honestly. And so that's really been how I've cultivated a deep sense of listening, and what I hope to be able to open people's minds to in order to be able to listen better, so that we can all be guided, hopefully, into a totally new iteration of this planet where we are all safe and happy and healthy and thriving. And I don't think that that's some utopian, idealistic, conceptual fairy tale. I think that it's possible. And so I'm going to do everything I can to make it so.
Yeah, there really is no better feeling than being connected to your intuition.
Yeah.
Like having that sense of a best friend. You're like, and even sometimes like I'll be connected and I'll be like, okay, I hear you. And I still want to touch the stove. You know what I mean? Like last night I was like, I hear you and I'm touching the stove. And then I regretted it. And I was like, okay, got it. I needed that little lesson. It's all good. What is one practice that someone can do today to connect more to their intuition?
Well, feeling into understanding how you learn and receive it, right? So some of us are more auditory learners, and it is going to be like a voice. So if you're auditory, meaning it's easier for you to hear, what is the texture of the voice? If your ego or your fear or like your punitive father sounds a little bit like crunchier, it has more contraction in the voice. What does the voice of your full fuck yes sound like? What does the voice of that unconditionally loving guidance, your higher self, sound like? Find the distinction between the tone and inflection of the voice. If you're more of a visual person, maybe it's colors or numbers or some type of sign or symbol that appears to you in your reality. Or when you close your eyes, you see this particular color and your intuition is this deep emerald green. And if something is like a warning, it's showing up as that yellow that's kind of like, wait, stop, or maybe it's red, whatever it is. So you allow your intuition to give you the types of cues and clues that are most easy for you to receive. Then if you're more of a kinesthetic person, you can tune in with your body. Oh, wow, like when I have that fear, that ego, that same sort of contracted type of voice, I actually feel that in my body. Maybe I feel a sense of closedness, or I really want to just like crumble my shoulders and curl in on myself rather than stand tall. And my intuition feels like this compulsion in my gut or this tug in my heart. And so depending on what way you learn best and what way you feel the easiest connection, you really just ask and give it the space and a moment to come into your space and your vibration and your awareness, and allow it to show you. And another practice that I really love, this is in the book too, I share this, we can like put this in the show notes. It's a free practice that I have on my website. It's called channeled writing. And I ask anything, whether it's a redwood tree, a dragon, my higher self, my intuition, I say, I call upon X, say my intuition. I call upon my intuition. Please write to me, through me, anything I'm meant to receive in this moment. And then I just write this letter of whatever the thing has to say to me. And sometimes it can be really easy to record a voice note. If you don't feel like the writing is easy, you can just talk. Sometimes I'll do this in the car with myself and it's so great. Like I'll literally just channel something to myself and I'll listen back and be like, damn, that was not me talking to myself, but that's a really good lesson I need to learn.
Crazy.
No, it's more like, whoa, she fucking knows. Yeah. She's so much more clear than I am. Like I was lost in the sauce for a second and she just gave me exactly what I needed to hear. But that practice has been absolutely imperative in my journey. And I've used it many, many times and received. And when I follow, again, that's the difference between intuition and intuition. It's like, you got to listen, right? And when you listen, wow, the miracles that occur are astounding.
Wow. What's your favorite intuition miracle that you've experienced?
Oh my God, is my favorite? You know, I haven't talked about this in so long and it used to be the most important part of my story. So I feel like this will be, it like makes my heart feel all the things just thinking about it. So actually you're touching it. So when I was 16, I almost became an amputee and I almost lost my arm and it was ground off. 60% of my arm was ground off. When I got out of the car, this part of my hand, the back of my hand was touching the front of my forearm. It was just completely bent backwards. And they fixed me with my whole latissimus muscle from my back, skin grafts from my legs, tendon grafts from my ankles, bone grafts from my hips. Bionic woman. I've got a 10-inch titanium plate in here. And I always covered it up. The first year, it had to be covered because of the sun. So I wasn't allowed to have it out in the sun. But then, of course, that became a psychosomatic of like, it has to be covered up. No one can see my disfigurement and no one can see who I really am. Like they'll judge me and hate me. I'm deformed. And I went to a meditation on a Sunday morning. That was like my little first like church foray back in the day, the beginning of my spiritual journey. I was like 24 in LA or something. And I went to this pool party afterwards and I always covered it up. Every single day I had like 11 of these little black sleeves. There was like one in my glove compartment, one in my purse, one in the back seat, one in the trunk, two in the underwear drawer, like one in the kitchen. I had them everywhere so that at any moment I could always cover myself up and no one would ever see me. And I left my meditation and went to this pool party in Hollywood. You know, it's like so cute and everyone's looking so amazing. And I'm like with my friend. And I'd worn a sweatshirt to the meditation. And of course, we're at a pool party, so I'm about to take my sweatshirt off. And I'm looking for the little sleeve. I'm like, can't find it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I have 8 in the car. What is happening? And tearing through my car, frantic, like tears streaming down my face, losing my shit. I cannot fucking go in there without this. I can't let anyone see me. My friend's like, it's okay, girl. Like, if you don't want to go, like, we can just go back. It's okay. You know, like not being a great friend. God bless.
Like your ass still looks cute in your bikini, sis.
And I heard this little voice that was like, Mia, enough. It's enough now. Just let it go.
Done.
And I just kind of like pulled myself together, like wiped my little tears and went to the front door and like knocked on the door. And we walked in, dove immediately into the pool because I was just like terrified. Got out of the pool and this girl's like, hey. And I'm like, she's like, I love your bikini. And I was like, cool. Have you seen how fucking disfigured I am? You know, I didn't say that, but that was what I said in my head. And I spent the entire party sitting with this one guy in like a corner because I just could not
Story of my life at parties.
Yeah. And not me usually, but I could not engage. I was like terrified. Talked to this guy all day about his kids and like he didn't really move either. It was like, we were just hanging out there. And at the end of 7 hours of hanging out and getting to know each other, he was like, so tell me what happened to your arm. And we built this beautiful rapport. And so I told him, and it didn't carry any weight. It was like, it was fine. And he didn't bother about it. There was nothing wrong. And that day, all of those little sleeves that I had worn to cover dematerialized. I never found a single one ever again. They were never in any of the places that they had been, not in the laundry, not anywhere. They all disappeared from my reality. And that was truly the moment where I started questioning everything. What else do I believe so wholeheartedly that it is informing every choice I make and every experience in my reality that is actually just not true? Nobody fucking cared. Nobody even noticed. And I thought that it was the only thing that they would see. And that was one of the fundamental shifts in me going from being, and I also, you know, it was a big metaphor for like, I was hiding myself.
Yes.
I was not willing to, even it, like in the shower with guys I was dating, I would hide it and wear it and like keep it behind my back. It was like no one would see it. And so that was a huge removal of the mask that I was wearing. And that was really the moment when I chose also to give my inner child and the hurt little girl in me, who that had happened at 16, but it was kind of like, it was the biggest trauma that I'd experienced in my life up until that point. And so I just dedicated my life to her. It's like, okay, girl, all your dreams, all your fantasies, all your fairy tales, all the magic that you have always longed to be true, all those years of hiding. Like, I believe that the accident with my arm happened because I had started hiding. I had started pretending and trying to fit in and being someone I wasn't. And then there was this opportunity to change and I didn't. I hid more and got angrier and felt less and less like myself and more masks. And once I was liberated from that, it was like, okay, all those fairy tales, all that fantasy, I'm going to make that my reality, because I've been believing that that's not possible either. And it's bullshit. And now it's time for me to watch my most magical life unfold. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And then I did.
Then you wrote your book.
And then I wrote my book.
Tell us about the book.
It's called IntuWitchin: Learn to Speak the Language of the Universe and Reclaim Your Inner Magic. It is out wherever books are sold. It is a beautiful exploration.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Of the law of correspondence. And a lot of us know about the law of attraction for manifestation, but one of the other universal laws is the law of correspondence that states, as above, so below, as within, so without. And that idiom has been so profound for me in the way that I, even like, you know, looking around this beautiful home has so much of that energy. It's like I decorate my house with colors and symbols and shapes and types of crystals and animal totems and statues in order to manifest what I desire, in order to make little altars everywhere. And so it's a beautiful exploration of how we can use both the elements within and without of us to manifest healing in our physical body, our sexuality, our emotions, our mindset and beliefs, and in how we take action in the world and really create that balance between masculine and feminine. So it's an incredible collection of information that I have gathered over many, many years of study that have really supported me. And one of the chapters is called Everything is Information, Everything is Divination. And divination is, in fact, the oldest science on earth, studying how the natural world is communicating to us. What does it mean when this flock of birds fly over my head? How do these shapes of clouds communicate with me? What am I learning from the way that the rains fall, and understanding about how my crops will then grow in the coming season? And so every single thing around us is communicating with us all the time. And we have this beautiful opportunity to learn to speak that language in order to communicate in return and to respond. And that's what ritual and healing and magic has been for me, is a conscious dialogue between myself and the universe. And I've watched all of my dreams continue to come to fruition by communicating consciously with the divine. And it's been such a gift. And so it's a really beautiful exploration of how we can all do that.
You got that X factor, baby. I am mesmerized. Let me tell you, her witchcraft is working. Thanks for coming on Almost 30 again. Okay, guys, get the book. I'll see you later. Love you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Mia, my girl, Mia Magik. You can find her on Instagram at Mia Magik with a K. And the book is called IntuWitchin. It's available out now.
Awesome. And if you want more from Almost 30, you can subscribe to our clip show, Morning Microdose, which everyone loves. And it's a great way to start your day rather than hopping on your phone, scrolling, checking emails. You can just pop on an episode. We release them 5 days a week, and they're 5 to 15 minutes. So just like little snippets, inspo, curiosity, humor. You're going to love it.
It's so good. I love morning microdose. It's just pops off. We love you guys. Thank you for being a part of our lives and community. We're so grateful to know you. We're so grateful to be connected with you. We're so grateful that you chose Almost 30 as your podcast to listen to. It means so much that you've been with us over the years. Truly, madly, deeply. We have a book coming for you next year, which we're really excited about. We're finishing that up now, so stay tuned. We will see you on the next one.
We love you.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.